Chapter 10, How the Strength of Principalities is to be Measured. In examining the characteristics of all these types of principalities I have mentioned, it is important to keep another consideration in mind, whether a prince rules a state strong enough to enable him to stand on his own, or whether he will always need the protection of others. To clarify this point, I judge a prince capable of standing on his own when he has enough men or money to gather an army capable of engaging in battle anyone who comes to attack him. And I judge a prince as needing the assistance of others when he is not strong enough to engage an enemy on the battlefield and is compelled to seek refuge behind walls, which he then has to defend. I have already discussed the first case and will discuss it further. As for the second, one can only urge such a prince to stock up on provisions and fortify a city, but disregard the surrounding area. Whoever sufficiently fortifies his city and has looked after his subjects, which I have already touched on, and will do so again later, will not be attacked without great hesitation, because men are always wary of enterprises in which the difficulties are obvious, and it is quite clear that attacking a prince whose city is well fortified and who is not hated by his people is not an easy matter. The cities of Germany are very free. They own but little of the land that surrounds them, obey the emperor when it suits them, and fear neither him nor any neighboring king. This is because they are well enough fortified so that anyone who intends to invade them would see it as a strenuous and difficult endeavor, as the cities have enough ditches and walls and sufficient artillery, and keep themselves stocked with a year's supply of food, drink, and firewood. Furthermore, these cities have the means of keeping their citizens fed by providing them with enough work for a year, occupying them in activities that are the life blood of the city and that yield the products that sustain the people. In this way, municipal funds are not depleted either. The German cities also hold military exercises in high esteem and have many ordinances that maintain them. Therefore, a prince who has organized his city in this way and has not given his people cause to hate him will not be attacked. And if he should be, the enemy will withdraw in shame, because the affairs of this world are so changeable that one cannot sit idly and wait outside a city with a besieging army. Some might argue that the populace could lose heart if it sees its possessions outside the walls in flames, and that a long siege and self-interest will result in the people's forgetting their love for their prince. To this I reply that a prudent and spirited prince can overcome these difficulties. At times he must inspire his people with the hope that the evil will be short-lived. At other times he must instill in them a fear of the enemy's cruelty, and when necessary, cleverly shield himself from those individuals among his subjects who might pose a threat. It is also to be expected that the enemy, as soon as it appears, will ravage and burn the area outside the city at a time when the populace is still ardent to defend itself. Therefore, the prince should not hesitate, because within a few days, once the people's spirits have flagged, the harm will have been done, the wounds inflicted, and it will be too late for remedy. The populace will have all the more reason to unite behind their prince when they see that he is obligated to them, as their houses have been burned and their possessions ruined in his defense. It is a man's nature to obligate himself as much for the benefits he gives as for the benefits he receives. It is a man's nature to obligate himself as much for the benefits he gives as for the benefits he receives. Therefore, all things considered, it is not difficult for a prudent prince to bolster the spirits of his people throughout a siege, as long as there is no lack of provisions or ammunition. So it says, therefore, all things considered, it is not difficult for a prudent prince to bolster the spirits of his people, like to keep them up throughout a siege, as long as there is no lack of food and shelter or ammunition. Well, obviously, so he's just saying you gotta be prepared when you're a king, you know? And this is a civil? He was talking about a civil king? Or how the strength of principalities is to be measured. Yeah, I mean, you gotta... So he kind of mentioned in the beginning about a king that's either gonna stand up and fight, or one that just kind of... To clarify this, I judge a prince capable of standing on his own when he has enough men or money to gather an army capable of engaging in battle anyone who comes to attack him. And I judge a prince as needing the assistance of others when he is not strong enough to engage an enemy on the battlefield and is compelled to seek refuge behind his walls, which he then has to defend. So being a prince is pretty much about protecting your people. That's pretty much it. Protecting them, but letting them know, like, you're here to rule. Like, you're here to rule a good government. You're here to rule a good good, strong people to live a normal life, but also be knowing that you want to make your land of value, but you also want it to be protected, you know? Anyway, peace.